Okay, welcome back from Christmas holidays and New Year, and Happy New Year to everyone. It's the 14th of January. I was about to say December. That's long gone.
2025.
Yeah, it's a new year, a new beginning of the podcast, Posting Tomorrow. And today we have three.
New studio.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's the same room, but it's new gear, new table, and new man.
New people.
New man.
Yeah, so today we actually included Benjamin, who we mentioned a few times in the podcast.
Yeah.
So today is his first time on air.
I'm very, very honored to be here.
Can't hear you, Benjamin. I was just kidding. Yeah, no, it's good that you're on.
Yeah. The honor's on our side.
Yeah, so of course we talked about last year what was going to happen this year, and of course we will be including guests in the new year. So our first guest is
it's the easiest one.
Yeah,
he has to be here.
It's one from the team. Yeah, no, I think Benjamin, he will be taking part of the podcast on and off because he's the forest manager,
the forestry expert.
He's the expert. Yeah. So welcome, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell just a little about yourself.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's a good idea. That's also what my notes are. Sorry. Please go ahead.
I would like to say I never thought I would be on a podcast because I've spent most of my life trying to talk as little as possible.
Yeah.
And stay away from attention and the spotlight. But here I am.
Yeah. Even though you got a cousin that is a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Were you on the early videos, right?
I stepped away from that.
But now you're back.
You gave up the life as influencer.
Yeah.
But now we've forced you back into it.
Yes.
It's actually good if you think about it because his cousin that's a quite big channel. Maybe you'll throw some stardust on Rasmus and I and we'll grow into
Maybe.
Something similar.
Who knows?
I think we have to mention the cousin's name to have that happen.
Yeah. It is actually an English name. To some extent.
Yeah.
Maybe you can.
Stupid ogres.
Exactly. When did that actually happen?
Him becoming a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I think it's 15 years ago almost.
Wow.
We started together. I created the channel actually. We started together, but it wasn't for me being in front of the camera, speaking and stuff. So I never followed him along that road.
Yeah.
Okay, 15 years ago, but that's also like some of the early ones.
He was
That's really early.
Yeah,
he
I
was
wonder
one of the first in Denmark.
One of the first in Denmark, yeah.
To like take off.
I actually started my first YouTube channel in 11. It was about the same time. Now, of course, I don't have the size of his channel.
No.
But yeah. Anyway, so moving forward in time.
Yeah. In relation to me being a forest manager.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not really a forest manager, but I have I've studied to become a forest manager. Yeah. So I studied forest and landscape engineering. It's called in Denmark.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much the you study that to become a forest manager.
Do you know if the forest and landscape engineer, is that like a common title across countries, or is it a Danish?
I've seen it
in
a few other countries, but not. I don't think it's. I think it's pretty Danish.
Yeah.
The name.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think getting an education in managing forestry is globally a university degree.
Yeah.
It looks like that. There's a lot of at least countries that has it as education.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And in Denmark that takes 4 years, and I finished in the 26th of June last year, and then I started here full time the 1st of July.
Yeah.
But I've also been I also worked here as a while I was studying.
Yeah.
It's actually a year ago.
Yeah, I know.
I think today.
Today, or?
Pretty much today.
Yeah,
I
pretty
didn't
much.
know.
Yeah, I remember. I was just thinking about that a couple of days ago. Actually,
Yeah, me too.
that was about this time of year. Yeah.
Cool.
So
That's pretty much it.
yeah, and then you play some golf, and
Yeah, a little
what
bit.
else do you do?
Not much else.
Work, golf, and
Yeah, I run a little bit. I try to run. Not as
yeah, that's right.
good at it as you, but maybe someday.
Maybe someday, yeah. So I was thinking about your education. Hopefully, there's also someone outside of Denmark that's listening to this. Could you shed some light on what it actually takes to become a forest and landscape engineer in Denmark?
Yeah. We come with very different backgrounds.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about forest management at all when I started. So you start out by learning the tree species. What do they look like, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you learn about the soil and legislation and stuff like that. Planning and you have a whole year in like an internship as a forest manager, forest assistant manager.
Yeah.
Where you have to seek out a place on your own, and you stay there. I was there for I think 10 months, which is I think the year you learn the most. When you're out following.
How far is it into the education that you?
The third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you come back to school for 1 year, where you build upon all the things you've learned up until that point.
Yeah.
Like build an extra layer on top, and you can sort of take two directions. You can either go like I did, the forest management way, or you can focus more on like nature management and stuff like that. We all learn nature management and forest management, but in the last year you sort of take a direction.
Yeah, but also if you now we've been at it for 5 years and met a few young guys studying landscape, forest and landscape engineer. It also seems like a lot of the people go really different places.
Yeah, you can
pretty much do anything.
Yeah, pretty much. We talk a lot about that a lot. That there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that it's more or less half of those that are educated that actually go into the forest, and the other half does something?
I almost think it's a bit less that go into forest, like I did, but about 50%.
Yeah. And it's a bachelor degree you get when you're finished. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's typically a bachelor degree take 3 years, so it must be the 1 year of practical stuff. Then.
Yeah.
I would assume it's like the diploma engineering degree.
Yeah, there you also get
it's called.
Yeah, you also, as far as I remember, you get a bachelor, and then you get something on top of that.
Yeah,
but that's 3.5 years. That's only half a year of.
And I also think that's a Danish thing to do.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it in other countries.
No.
Back in the day, you also had 1 year of like as a forester, like with a chainsaw and doing all the practical.
Okay.
And a lot of the old forest managers say that we need that. We don't have that practical.
Are you actually skilled with a chainsaw?
Not really, no. I can use one, but not like large beech trees. Mostly.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. How many does actually go on to take the master?
Not that many from my class, at least.
Yeah.
I think 2 or 3 maybe only.
Okay.
That's also the theoretical way of going, I guess, where you dig more into the theory.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same, but a level higher.
Is it clear for everyone just in the, let's say in the second semester who will actually go into the master?
I don't think that. Yeah, it's. Yeah.
The reason, yeah.
Oh.
The reason why I'm asking because I've also sort of seen that if you look at those taking the forest and landscape engineer, there's probably more than sort of 2 types, but there's one that definitely want to go out in the wood and primarily do something with trees, and then there's some that has slight other sort of interest.
Yeah.
Maybe you sort of fall into the latter part.
Yeah, I like the whole forest manager job, but I always liked the technical aspects of it as well, and through my education I also took a lot of courses on GIS platforms because I liked it. I found it interesting, and I thought it would be very useful in the future.
Yeah,
and I think
if you look back at your education, how big of a role does technology play
in forestry?
Yeah, but no, I was more thinking about the education.
Probably more than 5 years ago, but you know, forestry is an old how do you say it?
It's an old profession like farming and
Yeah. So it takes time to adapt to new technology, but I think it's going better. I think.
Did you have like courses on drones or just introduction to them? And
I did, yeah, but it was like a summer course where you have to pick it yourself if you want it. So
it's not mandatory.
No.
Okay.
So I had that, yes. And I found it very interesting.
It also seems a little like that the future foresters can't avoid somehow the knowledge at least of how to use drones.
Yeah. I think we've also talked a lot about this in the office that with Denmark I think is too small for it to like pay off to use drones. But if you have like 1 million hectares of forest, I think it's you almost can't do it without it.
Yeah. But it's funny when we started, we was thinking like every forest manager would have a drone in the back of his car.
Just to get a better view.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for all the smart stuff on the data or anything.
No.
Just to have the camera at a better view.
Yeah.
I also tried.
Yeah, you actually played around with.
While I was at my internship or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
I tried calculating the volume of like a stack of wood chips. It could be anything, but wood chips with the drone.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it wasn't very accurate, but you could do it.
How's that done if you don't use a drone? Do someone just look at it and say, here's...
You pretty much, the guy chipping the wood will tell you a number. Or you can, there's a very old method where you measure above the stack and, But you pretty much get the numbers from the contractor.
Mm.
It also maybe makes sense because they could probably measure the wood going into the chipper.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it based on that or just the size of the container?
Both.
Yeah,
I think, because when the stack also shrinks a bit, and but especially when it's in a container, when it's riding, it's it's fitting.
It's like sand. If you move it around, it will get tighter together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
why isn't it sold at kilos? Sorry for interrupting. Why isn't it sold at kilos instead of the volume of it?
It's actually sold. We're going to. I'm not sure I know the English words of this, but
let's try.
The how good of a fuel it is, or the
burn,
fuel value.
I think I was also struggling to find the English word for it, but the ability to burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, if it's too wet.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not sold only on the volume of it; it's also sold on the quality.
It can be both, but
yeah.
But I think the correct way is to how good of fuel it is. Or
yeah, that also makes sense because when you chip it, it goes into the oven or the garden.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, and then you started here. And what are you doing here?
I'm doing...
Of course, I know.
Except podcast.
Yeah, now podcast as well, sometimes.
Yeah. It's a bit blue, there.
I've done a lot of things.
Yeah.
Different things. Maybe you can help me remember if I forget something. But I started out helping the Danish Road Directory, or whatever they call it.
I actually don't know the English word of it.
They manage the Danish roads.
Yeah.
Helping them map their forests or their plantations alongside the roads.
Yeah.
Maybe for context, at least in Denmark, it's a large area compared to other owners of area. Mm-hmm. So they own a lot of area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nature and forest area.
Yeah. So I think it was very valuable for them to, have an overview of what they actually have.
Yeah. Yeah, but before you did it, they had no idea actually. They had something. Sorry, Donatello. They had something on the areas, but nothing on the trees.
No.
And
and then what have I done? I've
you studied a lot of how they do in other countries.
Yes, that I've we're trying to expand beyond borders.
Yeah.
So I've looked into Sweden, Norway, and UK, mainly UK.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yeah. Could you try to explain sort of what summarizes Danish forestry and how do we do stuff here in Denmark?
It's very... We have a lot of species is quite unique for Denmark.
Mm.
A lot of overseas species as well.
Yeah.
Not all of them are native. And if you look at, for example, Sweden and Norway, like if you look at all the species you can choose in Denmark right now, it's a long list of species. If you go to Sweden, it's maybe at 10% of that.
Yeah.
There's mainly 3 species they work with.
Yeah, I guess it also depends where in Sweden you are.
Yeah. But we manage like very small areas.
Yeah.
And many species and stuff like that. And I guess in the UK it's a bit similar. They also use the section and subsection to split up the forest.
Yeah.
And they also have a bit more species
compared to
less than us,
less
but
than
compared to a bit more than Sweden, I think.
Yeah.
And this is just what I've looked at. Of course, I don't know the whole picture, but
what we have learned so far.
Yeah. And
that's how it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
We read and we learn.
But yeah, this is also, I don't know this, but it looks, if you look at the landscape of Great Britain, that Scotland probably looks more like Sweden in its structure than South England, which probably looks more like Denmark, even Spain, actually.
Yeah, so. I think you're right about that, yeah.
Okay, but coming back to Denmark, so what sort of characterize Denmark? What kind of, what do we produce in Denmark, mainly?
We produce a lot of wood chips.
Yeah, you're right. Some would say too much.
I think some would say, but yeah, let's not get into that.
No, let's stay out of that.
We import a lot. Maybe that's that's a central part of Danish forestry. I think it would be hard to it brings a lot of benefits to that we have an industry where wood fuel is used. So yeah, that's like a key element in Danish forestry.
Yeah. And we also do something else in that.
We produce timber.
Yeah. Of all kinds.
Of all kinds. Yeah, like every other country.
How much? Do you know how much we export?
I don't know actually.
Is it what do we mostly export? Is that like what's it called?
We export a lot of the species that are not how do you say that?
Allowed for construction.
Yeah. In Denmark, we export a lot of that to Asia.
Yeah,
which is also very good for forest management at the moment. Who knows if it will continue like that?
Yeah. And if you look at the sizes of properties in Denmark, do you have an idea of like the most common size or the average?
We have a lot of small, very small areas.
I don't know. Do you remember the number?
I can remember the average size.
But the number of forests from 0 to 20 hectares
that's
enormous.
Yeah, that's a large number compared to like let's just say from 100 to 500. That's nothing.
Yeah, or even 20 to 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very small, and a lot of that is probably not documented very much, I guess. But probably needs to be in the future again, because if you still want to have some kind of economics running through the forest, or how to say it, you need to sell, for example, wood chips, and probably need to be certified in the future to even be able to do that. So
I actually think at the moment a lot of properties that actually get certified if they has like a large scale of operation coming up because of the added what's it called?
The added
money that you get for your for the products.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I actually wrote down if we have like do we have like great traditions in terms of Danish forestry? Is that a thing here?
Great traditions.
It's to some extent it's quite let's say young forestry because if you go 200 years back, there was almost nothing.
Yeah, that's right. And I think for UK it's the same story pretty much. They were also forested pretty much all of it, and then because of agriculture and stuff like that, it disappeared.
Yeah.
And now I think we have roughly the same percentage of forest compared to the whole area. I think it's around 15 in both the UK and Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we had a long tradition. We don't have it anymore, but we had a very we were very good at experimenting and researching and innovating, I guess, in forestry, in the state forestry.
Yeah,
like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But that has all stopped. So, yeah, traditions. That's a good question. I don't think we.
I guess the base for Danish forestry stems from Germany, right? This way of doing it. Do you know if that's the same in the UK, or is that global?
I mean, Germany is very well known for the continued cover forestry.
Okay.
We also have a lot of people in Denmark practicing that, and also in the UK I've seen.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people are practicing that.
But also what's it called, the nature-based or what's it called? What's the Danish word? Naturnær. Nature.
That's pretty much what it continues cover. Yeah.
But is that the same?
Not quite probably, but it's to do with the forest, being continuously covered in trees.
So you
no clear cut. Yeah, no clear cut.
Yeah. But the method of clear cutting, isn't that also from Germany? It is very strict of, you have one area with one species because you can then control it more. I think I've read that back in the day.
Not sure. It might be Sweden.
Even the word litra, which is used in Danish, I think somehow comes from
litra,
there.
I think that's Latin.
Yeah, okay, probably.
Clear cut is very, very, that's a tradition from Sweden, I think.
Okay.
That's very much used over there.
Yeah.
It also is in Denmark still, but yeah.
Litra.
Clear cut.
Oh, okay, yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Sweden, forest maps.
Yeah.
Or at least the maps that we normally look at. How do they sort of look at their inventory?
Quite different from Denmark. We have a subsection.
Yeah.
And the color of the subsection is whatever main species.
Yeah.
And then there's the year of planting.
Yeah.
We see that in the map on every subsection.
Yeah. That's sort of how we navigate.
Yeah.
Make decision.
And the subsections can be from 0.2 hectares to 10 hectares. In Sweden, at least what I've looked at, they are quite a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And there's no subsections. There's only a section.
Yeah.
And they are split into whatever point of their age they are. So if it's not planted yet, that's the whole section is that categorized like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's time for, they use pre-commercial thinning a lot in Sweden.
Pre-commercial.
Yes, it doesn't. There's no economic benefit. It's only
you don't chip
cost. It. No.
Oh.
Well, we don't. We also do pre-commercial thinning in Denmark, but it's not big enough for chips.
Okay.
So it's not big enough to
be used for anything. You just leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we in terms of age of the tree?
That's pretty early. That's not field not planted yet, but after that, stage after that.
Okay.
And then they grow older, and the whole section is then maybe classed as ready for thinning, and then after that ready for clear cut or regenerating or whatever planting you want to do.
Okay. It also kind of makes sense if you have fewer species. Maybe you only have one actually or two in this complete area. Then it makes sense that it's only. Yeah. Then the interesting thing is not what is the species, because it's all the same. So the interesting thing is more. It's more like an industrial way of looking at it.
I think it's a lot easier to plan if you have 80 hectares, and it's I think they call it Hookningsklasse.
Yeah.
So it's maybe G2 or whatever they call them. So they know if it's G2, they need to do this. In the next 3 years. For 80 hectares.
as the sort of time progress, the areas will just change in terms of. So now it's not G. Whatever. It's something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it the same in Norway?
Not quite, but more like that than how we do it in Denmark. They also have split into different classes.
Yeah. In Germany, not so much.
I haven't looked too much into Germany, but from what I've heard, you have looked a bit at forest maps. Maps. It's small areas,
Yeah, it's a section and a subsection.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes from the way forests are traded in Germany. You buy one matrikel, what's that called?
That's a good question.
Cadastral. Cadastral at a time, and they are not necessarily linked together. So you can have a forest that's like, geographically split all over the place. So it's a bit hard to. I think that's also why they manage probably more like the Danish way, and that's also why I think I remember that the way of structuring the forestry in Denmark comes from Germany, probably because of these small areas. But there are some large forests in Germany where they probably also need other ways. God, sorry.
Let's put them over here.
So yeah, that's at least what we see from some of the German forests we have on this. They are very, spread all over the place.
In UK?
They have a lot of Sitka spruce. I think 51% of all areas of Sitka spruce.
51%?
I think so. I think I read that somewhere.
Oh.
And that covers Great Britain, or is it Scotland? I can imagine at least Scotland probably.
Yeah, Scotland has a lot, I think.
Yeah,
but I think it's the whole of the UK.
There's this thing about Scotland back in the Dark Ages where the British cut down all the trees to use them for building and weaponry and so on, and then now Scotland is trying to get a lot of it back.
Yeah.
And in that process, the Sitka was good to plant because it's good for that climate, and it grows quickly, fast.
I think the UK way is a lot like the Danish way in a lot of aspects. They also clear cut, and they also do continuous cover near nature, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So I think we have a lot of similarities. Scots pine is also native to. There's a lot of Scots pine also. It's also native in Denmark.
Yeah.
So I think we have a lot of similarities with the UK.
I love Scots pine.
We can't use it. We can't use it for much in Denmark. It's not very. It's not the best commercial.
No.
It's mainly wood chips.
Pretty tree.
Yeah.
That also counts.
It does.
Yeah. But management plans.
Yes, that's a big one in the UK, from what I can see. We also had sort of like, well, back in the day, we also had management plans in Denmark. I think we still do some places. We also had these green management plans for grants and stuff. Yeah, and that's very similar to the UK, I think. They have the overarching UKFS standard. Yeah, which is like legislation. I don't know if it's legislation, but it's like a framework for how you should manage your forest sustainably. Yeah.
Controlled by the government, right?
Yeah, I think so. And these management plans, aim to fit that standard into the plan is supposed to show that you follow this standard, this framework. So it's a long. I think it's a long document with a lot of text and maps and summaries of data and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then it's endorsed by PFC and FSC, right?
That's the UK Wood Assurance Standard, I think. UKWAS.
UKWAS, yeah.
I think it's called. Yeah, I think, at least from what I understand, that is what if you have that certification, you can be both PFC and FSC. Yeah. But it's a bit hard to understand sometimes.
Yeah, and it's also something that we definitely don't have in Denmark.
Yeah.
That scheme.
Yeah, we have both PFC and FSC have their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't really have anything that sort of ties those two together.
No.
Of course, a lot of forest owners and forest managers would love that we had something that would tie those two together instead of, just being two independent things.
Yeah.
But actually in UK you have this UKWAS, right?
Yeah. I think there's both benefits to having them together and apart. For example, in Denmark, it's easier sometimes to comply with PFC and not FSC, and so maybe sometimes it can be good to. But I think in the UK when you have this overarching framework, there's no use in having many different certifications because you have to follow the overarching anyway.
Yeah. So we often hear this, that, PFC is easier than FSC. But is there forest types or areas, now I'm just thinking about Denmark, where it's actually easier with one of them over the other one? For instance, FSC at some point? Or is it always just PFC that's easiest?
I'm more into PFC than I am into FSC, but from my knowledge, FSC there's a lot of like human rights and stuff that's very important if you go a bit more south.
Yeah.
But yeah, PFC is I think for a lot of people easier to work with.
Yeah.
You can
I guess it also depends on the size of the forest. I think there's like thresholds in both of them, where they actually take off a few of the requirements.
Yeah, both 50. Are global, right?
Yeah. Some people also have both PFC and FSC in Denmark at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can also do that.
Yeah. What's the funniest things that you have sort of come across when you have looked at all those countries?
Maybe that they are all different.
Yeah.
That like it's a bit weird that every country has their own way of doing it, I think, and also annoying for us.
Yeah, very much.
I sometimes I don't understand how it's not like it's so different in some places.
Yeah.
I think maybe that.
But I guess there's also a lot to do with how the dynamic has sort of been placed historically, because I think Sweden, that's like a lot of the industry is controlled from the mills, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they're sort of, let's say, I don't know how to say it, but those are the one that knows the demand, and they sort of control everything.
Yeah.
Whereas in Denmark, it's just, it's just part of the process.
Yeah.
And that's more or less it, as far as I understand.
Yeah. I think we need to be a bit careful in Denmark, maybe, that we don't forget the sawmills also.
Yeah.
They might disappear. But also when you look at Sweden, in Denmark, it's very much an agricultural land. Like we all know someone who grew up on a farm or something.
Yeah.
In Sweden, they grew up with forest.
Yeah.
So I'm very impressed with how they do things over there.
Yeah.
They also have, like 25 million hectares.
Yeah.
And we have 600,000 in Denmark. So,
but we've also talked about that, because if you look at Denmark and agriculture, there's a lot of innovation going on in terms of robots,
drones,
manufacturing, processes, industry. There's a lot of things going on, and company so there's also a willingness to take risk into the area and innovate and launch new companies.
Yeah,
and there's nothing going on of that sort in forestry in Denmark. But if you look at Sweden, we have seen both robots and and we know
also this pulp, creating stuff out of the pulp and all this.
Exactly,
a lot of innovation, which makes sense.
Yeah, it just it's just in different bigger industries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how it is in UK? I think they have huge sawmills in the UK, don't they? I think I've seen some images.
They might have, yes. Probably.
I haven't seen any innovation news from the UK when looking at all these news that we've gone through. I can't remember seeing anything from the UK. We see a lot of from Finland, Sweden. I know it's also a lot of it comes from New Zealand media, so Australia and New Zealand. But I can't remember seeing a lot from.
Yeah,
UK.
But even this media is quite global.
Yeah. You have they're from Sweden and Finland, and,
you're right.
A lot of other European countries.
Yeah,
I can't remember seeing anything from the UK.
Yeah,
but again, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen a lot from the US either, which is also. I would assume there's some innovation going on there, but. Just to say that I'm not sure that there is no innovation in the UK. I don't know. I follow a lot university people from the UK now, and I know there is research in the management of it, which there also is in Denmark, but not so much in the that's from the university part. But we don't have a lot of companies. We have no companies in Denmark that I know of that do like this kind of innovation that's going on in Sweden with robots and so on.
No. What else?
I think maybe I think the UK is looking a lot into pests and diseases at the moment.
I read about that.
Yeah. I think, we also have, Eben from the University of Copenhagen. Like she's a professor, I think, in pathogens and stuff like that. I've been to many of her talks, and she always talked about this. I don't know if I can pronounce it, but Phytophthora ramorum, I think it's called. She always talked about it, that we should be not scared, but we should be aware that it existed in the UK and how big of a threat it was. And if you don't know about it, you okay, let's be aware of it then. But now when you look over in the UK, it's very devastating.
There's a lot of news on that, specifically on that.
Yeah, that looks scary. I think from what I've read, they fly over the whole country every year with
pesticides.
No, to look for these.
To look for them. Yeah, okay.
To these areas, and if they spot them, they send one out, and they get a notice that they have to fell it immediately. So I think it's a very big problem.
What kind of species is that in terms of
large? I think European larch. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it stems from rhododendron being planted inside the forest.
Yeah.
And I've seen that some places in Denmark where they have done that.
But why?
They don't know that it's dangerous.
No, but why would you do that?
They look pretty.
Yeah. Okay. Technology in the different countries in terms of data sources and layers and background maps and...
Yeah. In the UK, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And you can maybe talk a bit more about this, but we call a VMS service to get this map. And in the UK, it seems like they use this API key to...
Yeah, that's so a lot of the web map services, which is images you get from that. A lot of those are free and open, and then you can also fetch features, which are something that you need to, draw yourself in your map, and there you need to fetch them differently. They're also open and free. There are a lot of open data also in the UK.
Yeah. Not so much in Sweden.
There are open data, but we haven't found this from the UK. One of the things that a lot of people would like are these up-to-date auto photos, where we have, of course, Google Maps, but they're not. You don't necessarily know when one tile in Google Maps where it's from, which year it's from.
Yeah.
And we have these in Denmark. We have every year a plane flying over Denmark and recording new auto photos, which are also of better resolution and so on than the satellite photos from Google. So we know that Sweden also has this, but you have to pay a lot of money to get that, and we don't have, at least for now, that's not something that we can do for people because it's simply too expensive. And we have, I don't know if you've seen, I haven't seen anything from the UK in auto photos.
No, me neither.
A lot of other layers saying something about soil or...
There's a lot of layers.
Ramsar areas and all these things. We can find that. Yeah. And we have all the layers from England, Scotland, Wales we just implemented. And looking into Ireland, Northern Ireland now.
Yeah. But it's funny if you look at Denmark, and also now I know because I pick up the phone and look through the emails. I mean, in Denmark, then forest managers, they would really love to have updated maps, auto map photos.
Yeah,
I mean that's a really important thing in Denmark. So it's strange that
that could stem from it is there, so now I need it.
Yeah.
More than if you never had it, then you don't know you need it.
Yeah.
That could be one of the reasons. And again, from Sweden, they charge a lot of money for it, but they also have an industry willing to pay that money. In Denmark, you can't charge for it, probably because no one would pay for it. So that's probably why the difference between Denmark and Sweden. But you're completely correct. They are standing on ours.
Yeah, but you're right. But autophotos are for everyone. I mean, it's not for a specific industry. So
no. But maybe. Yeah. You're of course right. But I don't know why they charge that much money for it. I guess it's because someone's willing to pay.
If anyone in Sweden are listening,
yeah,
and they have some really nice autophotos, just send them to us.
Yeah, the same for Norway and
Norway
and Great Britain,
right?
of course.
Norway's the same, right?
I don't think I've even found anyone selling them.
No, I think I might actually have found one, but
okay.
I don't know if it's
up to date and
yeah.
And one of the things probably also is that Denmark is really small, so you can actually record this each year.
Yeah.
Other countries are, of course, much larger. Yeah. And it costs more money.
Yeah. But the thing with Google Maps, of course, it's a nice service, but there's just areas where it's useless.
Yeah. And
both in terms of resolution and...
Yeah. But of course, satellite imaging is getting better also, so...
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Benjamin, anything else?
I'm not sure.
That you have thought of?
I don't think so at this moment.
Okay. How was it? To be
nice.
On air for the first time?
It's nice. I'm not gonna watch it back, but nice.
Normally you're one of the guys.
I cannot listen to myself.
Okay, but I will.
Yeah. Not nice listening to yourself, but you can get used to it at least.
Yeah. Do you know... if you look at the education, coming back to education, do you know, have you looked at in terms of education in other countries, what they sort of focus on? Is it similar to us or?
Not really, no. I haven't looked at that.
Okay.
But it would be interesting to know, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure, given that it's also in university education, that there should be at least some overlap.
Yeah, maybe you're the one to ask, actually.
Yeah, but each university can, of course, put out the education they want, and they just need to clear that education with the state or with the government in the country. So it's not necessarily that one education in one country needs to look like the other. However, we have the ability in EU to go from our bachelor to take a master in any other country. That's part of...
Yeah.
So you can't have educations that don't have some overlap, because then that's not possible. So there is probably some overlap, which also makes sense, right? The basics, like if you're an electrical engineer, you need to learn something about that.
Ohm's law.
Yeah, and that goes for everyone.
Yeah.
And I guess here also is that there are things that everyone...
But you also know that when you work on university, then, I mean, the whole world is your playground. You talk to everyone abroad and you align things, and of course...
Yeah, that's also the technical stuff of studying technical stuff, like where the common language is math.
Yeah.
You know, there's only that language. You can't really change it, and
that's right.
So
good, Benjamin. It was I enjoyed it.
I did as well.
Yeah, and I hope that people now have an idea of who you are, and you'll be
the Forest Whiz is.
Yeah, and we'll be bringing you back and on some more concrete stuff, I think. So now you have an introduction, and
and now I need to go pick up my daughter.
Yeah.
So take care.
Yeah.
See you in the next one.
See you.
Bye.